I'm gonna start with some simple questions. We're gonna run through it. Just don't try to edit your thoughts. Don't cut them down in any way. Just speak as long as you want to. What do you feel like it means to be a man?
What does it mean to be a man? Wow.
Talking about it, my take on masculinity is not about talking as much as doing. I think at its core, a man has to be efficient, competent, and be willing to do what it takes for themselves and their loved ones.
It means to be a man.
That's actually a good question. I've kind of been thinking about that on my own, but honestly, what I've been taught, I can say, is like it's just like someone who's strong, someone who provides for a family. I mean, obviously, typically of the male gender, but provides for a family. Like I said, is strong. Is a role model. Is tough.
What does it mean to you to be a man?
Being a man is responsibility, first of all, and really accountability. Those are the two main things that I can think of, because you're responsible for protecting and providing for your household, and the accountability of when you don't get stuff right, that you take on that, you accept that you accept that you made a mistake and you try to correct it.
In recent times, societal discourse on masculinity has become increasingly prominent, marked by discussions surrounding incel culture, toxic masculinity rhetoric, and the prevalence of the male loneliness epidemic. Influential yet controversial figures like Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson, and Kevin Samuels have further fueled conversations about what it means to be a man in contemporary society, as individuals grapple with this and disadvantages men. This research employs a comprehensive approach, incorporating narrative, media, and content analysis alongside interviews with men from diverse backgrounds. By exploring facets of masculinity, the study aims to address fundamental questions. What constitutes being a man? Is there a singular right way to be a man or embody masculinity? How has media played a role in shaping societal perceptions of manhood? And additionally, the research investigates the ways in which modern society provides opportunities and imposes challenges on men. Motivated by a personal quest for self-understanding and a deeper comprehension of gender identity, this research seeks to contribute to the ongoing dialogue about masculinity by shedding light on the multifaceted.
I think it's gonna happen eventually, and I'm just frustrated that it hasn't happened yet.
I've never kissed a girl. I haven't gotten anything.
Losing it at 17 and then going like 10 years before doing it again, I think that's pretty, that's not normal.
I didn't know what the term incel meant until I was 20 or 21, but I knew the concept. I mean, you're a guy, you can't get a girl. It's pretty simple.
Do you ever wonder why some people who you've never heard of before all of a sudden appear everywhere?
Andrew Tate!
Andrew Tate is an Anglo-American kickboxer turned influencer whose extreme misogynist videos have helped make him the most viral man in the world.
Bang out the machete, boom in her face, then grip her up by the neck. Like, shut up, bitch!
For just being, say, straight. Just being a hetero, right? Because if you do anything, women judge you.
What do you mean anything?
If I dance a certain way, or if I wear my hair a certain way, if I dress a certain way, they go, real men don't do that. Real men don't do that. And so you get scared to move a certain way because you don't want to get judged or outed out of the accepted part of your community. And I think that kind of has us in an uproar.
What do you have to offer a woman?
As of now, nothing. I don't have a job, I am ugly, so my value right now is 0.
Have you approached many women?
Oh, many.
And what was the result?
Rejection 100% of the time. I would start talking to a girl, and immediately she would give me fuck off signals. She would, pull out her cell phone, just start texting her friends, and just hope I would go away. I don't approach that much anymore because, I've had over 1,000 rejections in real life, 2,000 rejections online, so that's 3,000 rejections total.
Did you count in real life?
I'm approximating, that's not a real word, we're redoing that. Ask a question again. I aim as low as possible. I aim for obese women, ideally ugly and obese. I aim for the bottom of the barrel because, I realize that I'm ugly. Pretty boys get women, like your sound guy. And just turn it to him, he's like, yeah. Turn to him, and see, he gets women because, see, I knew the moment I looked at him that he's not incel.
Through conducting this research, the interviewees and the media content that I analyzed seem to have a lot in common, especially the messages as to what being a man means. There were common words used to describe manhood or what masculinity means, like a man is strong, a protector, a provider, he's responsible, and a role model. And I believe these words hearken to a traditional notion of masculinity, and that a lot of these men do seem to cling to that traditional notion of masculinity and think that that's what modern masculinity does mean. They hold those values close to them. But where they start to differ on all sides of the spectrum is the ideology on how to perform those ideals. This is highlighted by the rise of content creators like Andrew Tate and Kevin Samuels, as well as recent manosphere and incel Reddit forums, as well as 4chan, where the goal is self-improvement and being fully comfortable in their masculinity. Those on that red pill, those manosphere and incel sides of the spectrum, take this sort of marketplace masculinity mindset. And this has been commented on scholars before, such as Kimmel, who went to say that marketplace manhood was a manhood that required proof. And that required the acquisition of tangible goods as evidence of success. It reconstitutes itself by the exclusion of others: women, non-white men and non-native born men, homosexual men, and by terrified flight into a pristine, mythic homosocial Eden where men could at least be real men among other men. And what interested me during all of this content analysis and these interviews is some of the language used by men on both the extreme, those men in the middle, and these men on the other extreme is the language, especially when it entailed discussing anything pertaining to femininity and womanhood, especially when you have words like mid, slut, hoe, bitches, and the seemingly innocuous females have gained popularity in these forums and in their spheres of conversations. And even if inserted ourselves into American lexicon, And there is a common theme of widening the distance between men and women, stressing our differences instead of our similarities, stressing the way our behaviors are different instead of stressing our common human behaviors. And this has historical context. Historically and developmentally, masculinity has been defined as the flight from women, the repudiation of femininity, the drive to repudiate the mother as the indication of the acquisition of masculine gender identity. This has three consequences for the young boy. First, he pushes away his real mother, and with her, the traits of nurturance, compassion, and tenderness. she may have embodied. Second, he suppresses those traits in himself because he believes they will reveal his incomplete separation from his mother. His life becomes a lifelong project to demonstrate that he possesses none of his mother's traits. This was written by Kimmel, and the same guy who talks about this marketplace masculinity. And so that was really telling, like the words they do use to describe these women and how angry they get, especially those in the manosphere section, get when these women don't conform to their ideals, because it challenges their ideals of what a man is, and that is opposite of a woman. And so I think that this then creates this anxiety. Well, if she can dare to be different, dare to be free, what does that mean to me? And I think a lot of these men, what they're truly upset with is the patriarchy. And they don't realize that they're fighting the same battles. There also seems to be a clear cognitive dissonance in these communities, in the way those who identify as incel or red pill complain about the standards of manhood or what a real man is, while also, or not being allowed to be a real man, while also simultaneously wanting to tell women who they should be and how they should be. And so Kano writes again, this is the definition that we will call hegemonic masculinity. The image of masculinity of those men who hold power, which becomes the standard in psychological evaluations, sociological research, and self-help advice, literature for teaching young men to become real men. Kano also then goes on to write, the hegemonic definition of manhood is a man in power, a man with power, and a man of power. We equate manhood with being strong, successful, capable, reliable, and in control. The very definitions of manhood we have developed in our culture maintain the power that some men have over other men, and the power that men have over women. The need to feel control is a linchpin of masculinity and those traditional notions. And I think a lot of the discourse and anxiety and uncertain manhood speaks to these shifting power dynamics and this seemingly loss of control. And so playwright David Mamet noted that men must prove their manhood in the other eyes of men is both a consequence of sexism and one of its chief props. Women have in men's minds have such a low place on the social ladder of this country that it's useless to define yourself in terms of a woman. And then Kimmel backs this up in later scholarly records. What men need is men's approval. Women become a kind of currency that men use to improve their ranking on the masculine social scale. Even those moments of heroic conquest of women carry, I believe, a current of homosocial evaluation. Masculinity is a homosocial enactment. We test ourselves, perform heroic feats, take enormous risks, all because we want other men to grant us our manhood. And so this need to prove our manhood in these social circles, the deeper you go, which is two sides of the same coin. Red pill men see women as objects to prove their manhood, as well as incels. And I think that turns them very angry because of the low place men put women on, especially these men like Andrew Tate and Kevin Samuels, the way they talk about them, the language we use to degrade them, to place them on this lower scale than us, makes us feel some type of way when things do eventually slip out of your control. And I think those shifting power dynamics has got both of these types of men in crisis. For a lot of men, women are their only access to community, to nurturing, to love. And so on the side of incel people, you're not getting that, because manhood is the rejection of the mother. And so these men are searching for this love, because as masculinity exists, it does not encourage community towards men. It is seen as very much individualistic, which is why I think these men don't see, when they talk about what about men's rights and the man's right to do this, that they don't see that feminism is fighting for us, and that they take place in a patriarchal universe of discourse. If you grow up hearing, be a man, be tough, walk it off, boys don't cry your whole life, you throw like a girl, and you hear these things, of course, when people are telling you, hey, yes, this thing is named feminism, and feminine is the opposite of masculinity, but it's about your issues too, that they can't believe it, because the separation, the manhood, historically and contextually, is the separation from femininity.
I'm saying, my point is that, truthfully, if we remove all the garbage and the fairy tales, if men are true to their biology, no man is completely and utterly a one-woman man. That's my point. There's a societal expectation which has been placed upon humanity, and then we have a biological and evolutionary imperative, and the male evolutionary imperative is not to have one female. Now, there are some dudes out there who are going to disagree with me, but those are dudes, they got low testosterone, they're not the big G, they ain't got no money, they ain't nothing, right? That's different. But any man who's actually in a position of status, since the dawn of human time, every single king, every single sultan, all of them had more than one chick. That's actually the natural human state. So the point I was trying to make is, even though I am a man of God, and I mention those kind of things, and yeah, I travel the world, but I really don't think that it's difficult to maintain a relationship purely based on, if the connection is true, then the physical presence doesn't have to be as prevalent. Let's put it that way, right? There's lots of soldiers go to war and they have a wife at home who loves them very much.
But that's different because they're going to die for a cause. Let's just
I'm going to war. I'm out here in the streets. How do you think I'm making all this money?
But what do you do? But like, you're not fighting a battle.
All I do is fight. My life is a fight. What do you mean I'm not fighting a battle? I'm fighting a battle against the oppression of humankind.
How are you doing that?
How am I doing that? I'm the only person who didn't cowered out at the beginning of this imaginary scamdemic. I'm out here literally resisting the enslavement of man. What do you think I'm trying to make all this money for? More cars? No. I'm making money specifically so that I am, to a degree at least, ungovernable. But that's on an individual level. And I take care of my people.
Which people?
My people. So this is what I mean. It's not like I'm out here doing nothing. I'm out here on the streets. I gotta go to Miami. I gotta see you. Gotta get this done. From here, I gotta go to Dubai, make some more money. I'm running around the world. I'm doing very, very important things. And if I had a female, if I did, because of course I don't, because I'm a man of God, blah, blah, blah. If I had a female, she would have to be very understanding of the fact that I am a man on a mission with a purpose. And there are some missions she'll be allowed to come with me on, and some missions she can't come. It's not safe for females out here.
I'm out here. I'm all right. I managed to get here.
Because you're next to me. I got you, Leia. You're okay. But but otherwise, you got to be careful. Women are, you know what? And I don't want to look like a misogynist, as usual.
Misogyny is okay to a degree.
Okay. What degree? Let me know. Give me a number out of 10.
I think it depends how we're defining misogyny, right?
Yeah.
Like, how would you define misogyny?
Realistic. A lot of misogyny is just realism. Like if you're a realist, then to some degree you're going to be a sexist.
But is that sexist or is that just being real, right? Because like if it's a fact,
Yeah, exactly.
then is that sexist?
Exactly. So I personally, I don't like traveling the world with women. I think it's one of the most frustrating things a man can possibly do.
Why?
Okay, imagine you had to travel around the world and you had to take a 3-year-old with you. You'd be like, oh, now you got, where's my 3-year-old? Has it 8? I have to make sure they're safe. Got to bring all their stuff. It's exactly the same with the chick. Me and my brother, we're Spartan, right? We can just go, rock up at an airport. There's no flight for 11 hours. Sleep in the airport terminal. Don't eat, don't sleep. One bag on our back. Old school soldiers. We don't care. With a chick, it's all, I need food, I need water. Where's my stuff? My case is 55 kilo. I forgot this foundation. I need to find this foundation. It's horrible.
I do agree.
Women,
if I haven't eaten, I'm not good.
Yeah. So women are effectively children. And
Well, no.
Yeah,
we're
see,
not.
no, so
we're
we
just
got there.
different.
No.
We're just different to men. We're not children. A child couldn't sit here and have this conversation with you.
Women have to be monitored and maintained and maintenanced effectively like a child would when it comes to
Not
travel.
like a child.
Yeah, same, exactly the same. It's the same.
It's interesting. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
listen, if I'm going to go Iraq, Afghanistan, all the places, and I've been to these places, I go with Tristan. We're battle ready.
Okay,
You hear
listen.
the AK go off, we start running. Like a chick will all be standing there.
True. No, that's true.
Nah.
What would happen if you didn't have Tristan?
My life would be drastically different. I think that all men, in fact, I'd say the actual plague of Western nations today is that all men lack a natural masculine support network. I don't think it's just about me having my brother. I think it's the fact that most men out here don't have a genuine masculine support network. They don't have men around them that they can not so much confide in, but men hold other men accountable. It's very easy to be brave when every man you talk to is brave. And it's very hard to be brave if none of the men you speak to are brave.
But what would you do if you didn't have Tristan?
Well, then I'd have to get a masculine support network outside of Tristan, which I've already done and created myself, so it does exist. But I don't think it would completely change who I am, but certainly having my brother was important in my formative years because if somebody didn't like me or something didn't like me, it didn't matter because me and my brother, we didn't care. We're big, we're hard to kill, it doesn't matter if you like us.
What does it mean to you to be a man?
Being a man is responsibility, first of all, and really accountability. Those are the two main things that I can think of because you're responsible for protecting and providing for your household, and the accountability of when you don't get stuff right, that you take on that, you accept that you accept that you made a mistake and you try to correct it.
So, what are the benefits to being a man if you feel there are any?
The benefits of being a man, I would say, I don't know, you get to see the fruits of your labor, I guess, through working, rearing children, raising them to be responsible adults. And if you want to talk social economical, I'll say men on the average do make more money than women, if you want to call that a benefit or a travesty. I think there are certain privileges to being a man versus when you're talking about versus a female. We tend to hire each other first, and we don't look at we look at the female as sometimes as well, I've seen, not in my case, but I've seen it where I can acknowledge we look at them as I don't want to say inferior, but the weaker vessel.
Do you think there are any cons to being a man?
There's several cons to being a man. As a man, a lot of times you go unappreciated because it's just what you're expected to do. And I agree that, and I've even said it myself, being a man and doing things, I don't necessarily look for pats on my back or anything, but like a lot of times, because people take men for granted. If you look at most dangerous jobs are held by men. If you look at the building of the infrastructure of the world, the provision, the protection, which is usually why most men lifespan are shorter than women, because we take on those responsibilities. And I think a lot of times because we do it on the norm, because just automatically, and because what we expect to do, we get taken for granted. Like a lot of times, people don't think men have feelings. As far as emotionally, they don't think that we get down or that we get hurt. We're taught from birth, there's no crying. If you get hurt, just get up and go. Which I agree with, some of those things, you just gotta keep pushing. But I do think, as a con, when men tell people how they feel or what they feel, they're considered a weak man.
Why do you think, I want to stay with that point, is why do you think that is? What do you think in society, or from what you've seen in your personal life, why do you think we think of men like that? Why do?
I just think it's a stigma that, like I said, if I go back from the point that you raised, hey, we don't cry, we don't do all that, getting in your feelings, and so like a lot of times, like a lot of men, I don't think we know how to process our emotion. We know it's there. We suppress it and we lie to ourselves and say, "Oh, I'm not hurt. I'm not. It didn't bother me." But in actuality, deep down, we're lying to ourselves and anybody we say that to, because we do feel hurt. We do feel disappointments. We do feel depression, anxiety, anger. We feel all of those things. And I think because we suppress hurts and disappointments and things of that nature, I think it comes out as aggressiveness, as anger, a lot of times.
Do you think society as it is now works in favor of men?
I would still say it's primarily, I'm saying this word correct, patriarchal society. I still think men do control mostly what's going on in the world. But I do see an instance where, I don't know, I might get backlashes, but where femininity or feminicism is on the rise, with just strong, independent women, and where like a lot of women think that all men are cheaters or they're nothing or we're not needed. So going back to your question, tell me the question one more time. Yeah.
Do you think society works in favor of men?
Overall, I still think it does at this point, yes.
And so this next question is kind of the same as the first question. When you hear the term masculinity, what does that mean to you?
Masculinity means to me, protection, provision. We are the forefront of the family, so we're the foundation of it, if you will. meaning we take our responsibility and we don't complain about it. If you're talking about the LGBTQ plus community, masculinity probably means, you know, you act and do things as a male. You're probably heterosexual, although I can't say that there are not masculine gay men. I believe there are, but it's to me it's just really the whole concept of it is you do what you're supposed to do or what you need to do, and you don't cry and you complain about it. That's masculinity in a nutshell for me.
Okay, and so we've defined masculinity as what it means to you. Do you think there are any behaviors that men are supposed to engage in? And if so, what are they?
I wouldn't say supposed to engage in, although, I mean, if we talking about society would probably say a masculine man is involved, like some type of sport, one of the four major sports, basketball, football, baseball, hockey. They're gonna be a fan of one or several of those sports. We like to drink beer and hang out with the fellas at the bar. Excuse me. We like to sit around and talk about women and the female anatomy or who we date or, you know, fine chicks or whatever. And anything that represents like ruggedness, you know, we dress that we don't wear tight stuff, we don't wear anything that's too feminine. Like I think times have changed, but for me, one would be like dangling earrings. We don't wear stuff like that. We don't wear makeup or things of that nature. So I would think that's what the answer how I answer that question.
Are there any behaviors you believe men aren't supposed to engage in, and if so, why?
I don't think men are supposed to be ruled by their emotions. Meaning, if something upsets them, I don't think they should fly off the handle immediately or make a decision in an emotional state. I don't think anybody should do that. I don't think that's just a man thing, but if you think about it, because we say men are less emotional, it's not that we're less emotional. I just think we don't allow our emotions to rule us. So if we're mad, you know, we might take it for a little while before we say something. We tend to process things internally first, and logically we try to look at the facts, which is why I've heard women say they like, you know, women that are in positions of authority, they prefer working with men than they do prefer working with women, because men are, if you tell a man he's not doing a great job, he doesn't necessarily fly off because he's emotional or it's something. He thinks about it first before he says, okay. He tends to listen to the facts versus listen to his emotions. I can't believe she just disrespected me. No, is what this person telling me right? Okay, did I take out the trash? No, I didn't. Did I cut the grass? Well, no, I didn't. And then we process that before we go out and just fly off at the handle and say, hey, I'm emotional. You know, we let that emotion rule us, and we may say something from an emotional state that may be detrimental.
Okay,